Carolyn?
Hi there.
Oh, hello. It took you a while to connect.
Cause I was elsewhere.
Oh, okay. I thought there was something wrong with my connection.
No. I was just doing last minute dinner things.
Oh, no worries. How many do we need for a quorum again?
Wait a minute, got my shoes to count.
I think you need 4,
Four.
because how many people are on the NAC?
I don't remember.
That's
The
what
number
I was
keeps
also
changing
trying to
every
figure
month.
out. That was what I was also trying to figure out. So you, me, Dana, Aline, Ralph, Harvey.
Laura and Harvey.
So that's 7. So as usual, Councilor
Yeah.
Lucas, correct.
4.
As
Okay.
usual.
Make sure you tell all 60,000 registered voters in Newton that, Carolyn.
Absolutely.
By the way, I'm eating dinner. That's why I'm,
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're recording this. Oh,
Ooh, ooh.
Well, I set it on automatic record so I wouldn't forget. Just don't say anything bad.
Hey, you- no. Unable to attend and do something in person, so I want to submit some written comments, if you know.
I'm sorry?
If Tariq knows, or you know, when the record remains open from the public hearing from ZAP on the 26th,
when the what opens?
the public record remains open for written comments?
You can always send us an email, but the public hearing was closed.
In,
Tuesday
in,
night.
okay, including written submissions following after the fact.
Yeah, you can always send us an email. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
By the way, I have to jump off at 7:30.
Okay. Laura will be 15 minutes late and Harvey's not coming tonight.
Did you get my email that Mark Hirschman adds some new materials that he wanted to have a few minutes to display?
I did see that. Are they? Newtonville related?
Yeah, I think he did a shadow study of Newtonville.
Okay, because I want to keep it to Newtonville if he has things. I don't want to see. I mean, not that I don't care about other places, but
Yeah, no, I
you
know.
know, I don't want to be here forever.
Oh, no, I understand. And
Okay.
he said 10 minutes, but that, 10 to 15 minutes, but that's a stretch into to add on at the last minute. He's going to a meet and greet with candidates earlier, so he won't
Okay.
be here from the outset.
Okay, so when will he be here?
Towards the end.
Okay. Hi, Ralph.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, good. It looks like our letter writing campaign got the city to do something on that paving problem in our neighborhood. They haven't done it yet, but they've promised to do something. We'll see.
Yeah, is that the water main issue?
No, it's when they
Something else.
redid Lowell, they got the grade wrong, and so it doesn't drain. And
Oh,
the crosswalk.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
I
just-
know. You have a lot of issues over there. I remember that issue. I drove by one night after it rained, and I was surprised at it. So I knew what you were talking about.
In my 40 plus years here, it's never done that. But they also have never paved it. And, it's.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's 7:02 right now. We'll see if we can pull some more people in. It's a light crowd today. Has anyone heard from Aline? Carolyn?
I
I have not either.
Send a text message to Dana if you want.
Yeah, I assume she's coming because we.
Wait, she's
she
started
mentioned
today.
it.
She's a significant part, yeah,
Still don't have a
I'll
quorum.
ask Aline.
right.
Okay.
Okay, so I texted Dana. Who
Okay.
else? Well, did you text Laura? Oh, you said Laura would be late. Who
Yeah,
else?
she's teaching her class.
Yeah, yep.
So she's rushing home right now.
What does she
Aline, that
teach?
was the other one.
Hmm?
She
What does she
teaches
teach?
at Boston College, but I don't remember her course.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Oh, Dana says she just got home. She's firing up her computer now.
Okay, good. And Harvey's traveling somewhere, I think.
And I just texted Aline.
Oh, I did too.
Oh, well, there we go.
Teamwork.
Water drip torture is more like it. Hello, Counselor Norton.
Hi there. I like the flower, very festive.
It's a remembrance of days gone by in Hawaii.
Oh, very nice.
Aline says she's driving home late from taking care of her grandson and she'll get in as soon as she gets home. And I don't like the idea that she's leaving evidence that she's driving and texting. Just saying.
I'm not even gonna ask how long it's gonna take.
I don't know. My husband was actually in a car accident on a day in which he had left his telephone at home. But one of the very first things that was done in the litigation was to subpoena his telephone records. I was never so glad as that he forgot his phone.
Mm. Did you? There we go. Okay, it's 7:05. And we do have 4 members right now, so we can go ahead and start. We are recording this meeting. Welcome to the September Newtonville Area Council meeting. Present at this time, we have Dana D'Agostino, our treasurer. We have Ralph Abley and Carolyn Gabay. I'm the president, and we will have Laura DeVue joining us in about 15 minutes. And Aline Samut joining us at some point when she gets home. Harvey Young is absent today. And is that it? That's all we have, I think.
Yeah.
I know we just did this as an exercise. I forgot already. We also have Counselor Norton and Counselor Lucas. And we have one of the candidates running for Ward 2, David Mickley, on our meeting tonight. So we're going to go ahead and start. The first item on the agenda is the joint area council debates. We've been busy planning the next the next debate that's coming up before the November election. I don't know if Carolyn, you saw the email from Chris Pitts. I assume that information, is that public yet, or can we talk about details? Oh, you're on mute.
We can talk about them when we're unmuted. We can talk about them tentatively because they aren't yet written in stone, but we can certainly get the contours of what seems to be shaping up. Would you like me to do that?
You can do it, or I can do it, whichever. You're deeper in the weeds of this one, so if you want to go.
So the overall plan is to split the debates up over 2 days, because otherwise it would be a marathon and not cool for the moderator and probably not great for attendance. So it'll be a Saturday and a Sunday, and it will be better that way because we have a number of Sabbath observant candidates for whom a Saturday is a non-starter. So they will be all put on the Sunday route. The days we're looking at are the October 21, 22, which seems like the front runner, in part because venues seem to be available. We're probably going to do it at a school, either Zervis or Newton North, or a combination of both. But although it's probably better to do it at one place, and the AV can be left overnight if it's secure, instead of setting up twice. And the other alternative is the following weekend, but that's really close to the start of early voting. So my personal bias is 21-22. It'll be 2 contested ward debates of 2 and 1 contested at-large debate of 3. And it actually lines up rather perfectly. 2, 2, 1, 1. Works out fine for days. And the thing will be recorded.
Sorry?
And the events will be recorded.
Yeah, I know Chris was going to the events, the venues, to see if they were able to do the live streaming and what the capabilities were for the schools. I think there was an issue with Saturday and Newton North, but I don't know if service is open. I don't think we've done it on a Saturday before, so should be interesting. But we'll have like I said, three debates one day, 3 debates the next. Do you know how long each debate is going to be?
That's being thought about. It. We want to give at least a half an hour per candidate, so you can do the math. So 1 debate an hour, 1 debate an hour and a half. It probably is going to work out that way. You know, the wards would be 1 hour, and the at-larges would be an hour and a half.
Okay. And then per questions, are we, last time when we did the preliminary debates for 2 and 6, we had questions come in from our catchment areas. Are we doing that as well, extending questions?
Yeah, people from anywhere, because we have at-large races. are welcome to send in questions. We're wrangling up a list of questions now. We have some left over that we didn't use during the prelims, some that maybe that we did use in the prelims that should be asked again. We have a question bank from before, and I think our moderator will again be Marjorie Aaron's Barron. I think she's willing to do all of them, but TBD on that.
I hope if she does do them that she will stagger the questions. I think last time we had the same questions in the same order for each of the debates, and like, you know, if someone was sitting in the audience, it's not fair. So I'm
Yes.
hoping that can
Well,
happen.
the plan is to give her variations on themes so that the questions are not identical, and maybe even she doesn't ask the same topics. We'll give her a big enough bank, because we're very aware that whoever goes second shouldn't have the advantage of having previewed the questions.
Got it. I'm assuming we will also have some kind of cost associated. Has that been discussed?
It was discussed. It's pretty modest. I think it's $500 to $700 or $500 to $700 for the whole thing. It's comparable to the cost of the prelims, but perhaps double because it's 2 days.
Yeah, so in that case, we had the AV guy, and it cost $500 for that debate session. So we split it between us and Highlands because it was 2 and 6. So it came out to $250, I think, each person, which we need to give them money. I think Chris covered it for us, and we have to pay him back. I don't know how to do that accounting wise. But I'm also assuming that we're going to have the same 500 per day, so that'd be 1,000, plus whatever the fees will be to rent the school spaces and the janitors and all that stuff.
Yeah, which I think are probably not going to be much more than it was to rent the other venue.
Okay, so I think Dana, in terms of like the money we have in the bank, is that going to hurt us, or what's our situation? Can we afford to spend $1,000?
Yeah, we're fine. I'm actually waiting for Chris Pitts or whoever just to send me an invoice, and then I was going to send them out the check for the first debate.
Yep.
So we're fine. I mean, we put money aside for this, so there's no problem.
Okay.
But
I asked for
do
something to
need
be
an
sent to
invoice,
us.
yeah.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
anything.
good.
It's like there's an invoice, but then someone else covered it, and then someone else covered that. So it's
Got it.
confusing of who we owe the money to. I just want to know the answer.
Yeah.
So once I figure that out, or they send it to you, then we can settle that.
Sure.
My
Carolyn?
recollection is that there's at least one area council that is not solvent, if you will. They don't have money, so we may end up with a 3-way split rather than a 4-way split. I don't remember who, but I thought somebody didn't have much of a bank account.
I think
it might be Woburn because they don't do a village day.
I think so too. I think that's the issue. So that's why we were willing to split that cost with Highlands.
But if you think about it, they're paying in blood money because poor Chris is doing the heaviest lifting.
Yeah, no, and that's okay. Like, he's doing his consulting and he's running around finding the space, so I'm fine with that. It doesn't, it's a joint effort, and they're helping and we're helping, and they're just doing theirs differently. But I assume that we need to go out for a vote to say that we want to spend up to, I'd say, $1,000 to cover it all. Do you think that's a good estimate, or do you think?
Since I don't know the amount, why don't we say 1,500? I don't think it'll be that high, but then we have a vote and we have a slush.
Dana, how do you feel about that?
Yeah,
as
that's
treasurer?
fine. I think last time we got the Allen Center for free. They gave it for free, and I think we have to pay for Newton North and Newton South. So yeah, that's
Yep.
fine. 1,500 sounds good.
Okay. So I would like to, we do have a voting quorum right now, with 4. So I'd like to I'd make a motion to authorize the Newtonville Area Council to, I guess, to use $1,500 or to put aside $1,500 for the purchase, for the services related to the area council debates.
Second,
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, we have unanimous.
anybody taking minutes tonight, by the way? Or are they just gonna
Uh,
get it off of the? off
We're gonna
of
have
the-
to get it off the thing. Harvey is supposed to take minutes, and then Laura was gonna take him for him.
Okay.
But
Okay, we get it off. the-
so there were two down. We'll just take them off the thing. That worked last time when Laura did it.
Okay.
And she's volunteered to do it again, so, and I can take it if we need to. Okay, so that concludes our discussion on the area council debates, unless anyone has any other questions in the audience or, oh, Laura's here. Does anyone on the council have any questions about the area council debates or any suggestions or improvements you think
What
we
date-
should be
what date-
making or suggesting?
What date was it again? I'm sorry, did you say the date?
Tentatively October 21, 22, or it could
Okay.
be could be the following weekend, but my money's on 21, 22.
Okay.
Yeah, the early voting starts 10/28, and that would, and 10/29. So those would be the days of the
Got it.
next weekend, right?
Yeah, so that's why I think 21, 22 makes a lot more
Yeah.
sense. We can do it.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
Be in the evening.
Probably not, probably daytime, certainly hybrid. I don't know, it really partly depends upon candidate availability. Any
This may
suggestions?
be my own bias, but it's the head of the Charles weekend, which, they don't race in the dark. So he'll be done racing by 4 or 5. So
I'm just not confident that the schools will be available to us
at night,
at night because of overtime charges and so forth.
we may not lose a lot of people to that. So
Who knows, maybe
Yep.
it'll rain. We'll get lucky.
They ruin the rain.
oh, they do. They
Ralph
really
is
do.
just gonna get wet. We'll keep everyone abreast of the details as we get them, and of course, once we do know the final details, we'll be sending it out on the listserv and advertising it like we did for the preliminaries. Hello, Laura. Thank you for joining us.
Hey,
You've
folks,
made it
sorry.
back.
Sorry, I'm a little late.
No, students are important too. Okay, I'm glad you made it. We just had to fill you in, we had a vote on putting aside $1,500 for the area council debates to cover AV charges, facility rentals, things like that.
Good.
Okay, so the next, speaking of the election, the next item on the agenda is the election day poll volunteers. As you might remember from the July meeting, I think I mentioned to everyone that this year, due to shortages in the election office and the town clerk's office, there was a debate over the area council voting and when it was going to happen and how there was no one to assist with counting the, not counting, but distributing the papers, checking people in, checking people out. And so as a concession, we had agreed that we would volunteer or find volunteers to cover some of the polling stations and distribution of the ballots for the area councils. Because otherwise they were going to move it to a random date in July or June or something. And so it's all been cleared up, but now the chickens are coming home to roost and we need to find some volunteers for election day. We've also heard that we might need to find volunteers for the in-person days. But since that takes place in City Hall, that would be a different situation where we just need to provide one person for one day or one person, 2 people for half a day. Something like that. We're still getting the details from the election office. But I am gonna need to start going out to find volunteers. Right now, they're paying volunteers. I don't know if they're paying area council volunteers, but they are paying regular poll volunteers. And so we need to get more details about that. It's like $15 an hour or something to do that.
Is it cash or is it Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts cards?
No, I think it's real cash.
All
They
right.
make you, when you go to apply, they make you fill out like your W
Whatever.
9 or tax information and your withholding and stuff like that. So I'm assuming a little tiny check comes in the mail for like $110 and you spend it all in one place.
To that point, I didn't understand what you're saying about which do we have to cover every precinct on election day?
Well,
Or are you saying that
no.
the people are supposed to go to vote at their polling precinct, but then trot over to City Hall to vote for the area councils?
No. So the voting at City Hall is only for the early voting days.
Okay,
The rest of the voting is at the precinct as we've done it in the past every year,
Mhm.
or every other year. We have vowed not to cover our own polling stations because it's kind of awkward to be, handling your own ballots. But it's not every precinct. It's every precinct that is covered by by an area council. And there are some, I believe in Waban, that only have like 10 residents that are area council eligible. So for some of those smaller, we wouldn't have to cover those at all. Only for the big ones like, Ward 2, Ward 2, 3, some of the 5s and 6s down in Highlands, like the ones that are getting hundreds of voters.
So just
Here,
to,
question, do you have to be over 18 or 21, or could we enlist high school kids? Or
You have to be over 18, you have to be registered to vote.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's for the poll, like to volunteer at the poll, and I assume they would have the same restrictions. But that's only my assumption. That's not. We don't have a lot of details. It's just a very mishmashy, murky thing, and
I'm just thinking that some college kids might want some spending money
Mhm.
or some
Or
high
people
school.
who are civic minded, like civic programs or civic minded in high schools if they're over 18, or in colleges, maybe in the political science program. I mean, you never know.
I think it would be
It doesn't
good
have to
if-
be us. It doesn't have to be the officers. It can be anyone in our catchment areas or in the city who wants to do it.
If we can get
So,
clear information about what are the shifts, what are the parameters, and that sort of thing, then we can get that information out. I think one of the concerns I have, frankly, based on what I saw in my own precinct, was people weren't well trained. So I'm in 2-1. They were not well trained. My understanding is that in the primary, that precinct did not report until an hour after all the other ones. And I could have told you what happened because they weren't, when you go in, they're supposed to count you. When you go out, they're supposed to count you. They didn't count us on the way out. And I asked, I'm like, aren't you supposed to highlight me? No, we're all good. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get counted on the way out of mine either. I know I didn't count it going in. For area counts, it's a little different. It's not via the machine. It's not via a regular ballot. It's basically like a colored piece of paper, and you just like hand mark off who you want. It's not a very scientific ballot process. It doesn't go through the machine. And they will not be tallying votes for the area council immediately. We will not know. I mean, I don't think there's enough people on the ballot right now to that it would make a difference. Unless I guess someone gets no votes, but we won't even know until maybe a week after.
Do you know who's certified for at least the NAC to be on the ballot? I know Ralph did, I did, Dana, I think you did. I mean, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I got Dan Cohen did as well. I think he was the last person to hand in the papers but I didn't get a sense of, mine were handed in early before.
Yeah, and I think
Oh,
Harvey,
so I maybe-
Harvey did too, but so if Dan is the only person who is sort of new to the program, that answers my question. But it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to me that there are 9 candidates, so it just seems to me that it's important in an exercise in democracy to have ballots available. People could do
Mhm.
write-ins if they wanted to.
Mhm.
But I just was
I mean,
curious.
that's what happened last year. Tim, Nancy, and Aline came in on write-in ballots. Because we only had, I think, 3 people. Like it was, for whatever. You remember when we ran, we didn't have very many. So, it's a clunky process. It's something we're trying. Area councils are also not part of the mail-in ballot. It was cost prohibitive for the election department to put the ballots into the mail-in ballots to go out. So we lose all the mail-in ballots anyway. It will be it's I don't know. And we're supplying our own lists to them, so we're in charge of getting the list that they check off anyway. It's very weird process. I don't know how it was done before, but we're dealing with it. The 4 area council presidents, minus Raina, who is not involved because of her, because it's elections and she doesn't want it too close as a candidate. I think Chris Pitts is taking her, or someone else is taking her role in kind of figuring it out. But really, Jeremy from Highlands is leading the charge. He's been a poll officer for the last couple elections. So he does this normally, and so he knows what's going on and is trying to help us to figure it out as well.
One of the suggestions that came up in the past was because the people who were manning the official tables for the vote on the city council ballot were not directing people to the not very obvious table for the area council ballot, was to have a sign card on the table that says over there for your area council ballot. Because when I was doing in-person voting, I walked out and had to go back in because I didn't see where it was supposed to be.
Jennifer, do we make the sign? A couple of years ago, we had great signage and we had a big turnout. A lot of people voted. So is that something we make the sign? So if someone's,
Well, I mean, we're in charge of publicizing it and getting the
Okay.
word out and telling people where to go. So I'm assuming we're in charge of the signs. I mean, it's very much a grassroots effort to get people to know that we exist and to vote for us.
Got
it.
But none of us can be in our ward. So if we want to
Yes.
help on election night, we would go to another precinct.
Catchment.
I mean, is that what we would do? We'd go
Another
somewhere else.
Yes.
Another
Yes.
catchment area.
Okay.
Yep. So like if you volunteer, Danny, you might be over in 5 or in 6.
Got it.
I might be down in 8. I just don't know. We don't know how that's working out, but it's going to need to be an effort, and we're going to need to pull people in because it's
Okay.
it's a struggle. And we want them to not question it again. So if we do it right the first time, we should not have this issue again. But we'll see.
So we'll have this back on the October agenda to finalize and make sure that we're doing it right.
We'll figure something out. I mean, I will probably be sending information to you guys. See you later, Council Lucas. And just try to get you information. Like I said, I don't really have much. I don't really know what's going on, and I only know a little bit because they were talking about it recently, and we all kind of made this agreement, and then like in May, and no one's really followed up with it until just recently.
Hey,
And I don't
Jennifer,
think the election office even knows.
yeah, so once you get the, what time we're supposed to be where, if you could send that out, I know like 3 or 4 people that would do it, like, so, you know, if you give it to us, you know, some time, we can certainly send that around, just where we need to be at what time.
Great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. And I'm hoping that they don't, you know, that we can switch off and, you know, if I can do an afternoon for somebody or like a, you know, I'll do the night, someone does the morning and
yeah,
like, you know, I don't think it's fair to make us sit there for 16 hours through the whole process. And it's a long, long day.
Jennifer, you know what,
Um,
I'll volunteer to help with scheduling, because I can do that. I mean, you can do like 4-hour blocks or something, you know what I mean? Like, there's
Right.
things that you can do, so if you want some help with that, I can help out with that.
Great if you could help out.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
One
Right.
other idea, if this is indeed a paid position, might want to reach out to the senior center because there are a number of people from the seniors community who could use
Mhm.
15
Yeah.
bucks an hour to pulse it.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Okay, so the next, no, we're, until I have more information, I think that agenda item is settled. The next is the water main replacement projects in Newton. Laura, this was your topic because
Yeah.
you're suffering through it right now. And I actually believe it's coming up my way. I see
Yeah.
them all with their little pipes and they're blocking off my street with no warning. So I'm assuming it's coming my way, but it looks like a Newtonville thing. But if you have information to
Yep.
share,
So there's a couple of things. And so this goes to, and I'm sad that Tariq and Emily weren't able to hear this part. So maybe we can just tell them to log in and watch this part of the meeting. But I think that this is a very good example of projects that are happening, multiple projects that are happening, and they are not related. Okay. But if you were to just drive down the streets, you may think that, oh, there's another, that one, oh, and it's going over here and it's going over there. So right now on Watertown Street, there is a large project and that's been going on since July. So on or about July 12th, a message went out through a message board that was notifying people about a national grid gas project. So this is a national grid project on Watertown Street and affected Page, Walker, Edinburgh, Linwood, Watertown Street. And NGrid is replacing the gas main and services. So that's having an impact on those streets. Walker, that I just discussed, is a connector between Watertown and Washington. And that is off of my street, which I live on off of Brooks and then over to Proctor Street, which is where I live. So it's a little kind of cut through off of Washington over. And we found out a couple of weeks ago on or around September 12th, and a letter was given out, but interestingly, I never received it in my mailbox. My neighbor, who is my landlord, also never received it in their mailbox. I got the letter because Jennifer said to me, hey, I heard something's going on. You should talk to Tariq. And Tariq sent it to me. So we still haven't gotten the letter, but we have been getting on Monday or Monday of this week, we got a thing jammed in our door saying on Wednesday, you will have no water. And so, because we got to hook this up to the street. Now, I want to be very clear to everyone on this meeting and for anyone who watches it later during a recording. I love infrastructure work. I want clean water. I want these things to happen. This is not me saying don't do it. But this goes back to what has been my kick for weeks now, is lack of communication creates a lack of trust in what's happening within the city. So while my street, Proctor Street, did not have any impact, direct impact from that national grid project, okay, of that NGrid project, we are having an impact from this water project. Which then if you also, which I haven't even talked about yet, are walking over Lowell towards the Star Market and going towards the school, that side of the Lowell Street Bridge, Lowell Ave Bridge, is being redone. And you have to only walk on the right side of the bridge, going over the bridge towards Star Market. You can't walk on the left side because the whole sidewalk's been torn up. So if you are a kid walking from Watertown Street, going through this neighborhood, you are being moved multiple times on multiple sidewalks to get to the high school or to get into Newtonville. And if you're walking your dog and the whole thing, the same thing. So there's multiple projects happening all within a stone's throw of each other, and none of them are related. And the level of communication has been not so great. And I have been communicating with Terry over in the construction coordinator at the DPW, and we're going to be talking by phone or in person in the next week or so. Because this is just a perfect example of why people don't trust what's happening in the city, because you don't know what's going on. There should be people from the DPW who are going door to door to let people know, here's what's going on. And don't let me have to go look up meeting agendas and Zoom meeting, readouts and all of that to try to figure out what freaking thing is going on from one part of the city to the other. And my last point is this. Why do you have three major projects all happening within a stone's throw of each other, when you could be doing this in a different order, in a different way? Now, if the bridge is falling down and it's urgent, get it done. But this is a sidewalk project. It's a sidewalk project. So there, that's my point. I yield.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on on your side, and I'm the person that's right over the bridge, and I'm dealing with all those pipes and the sidewalks, and my daughter walks I drop her off today, but she walks home the same thing, like crossing over the bridges. And it's dangerous. And
Right.
like I said, I mean, they cut down my street, they
Yep.
put up a sign, detour. I'm like, when did
Yep.
this happen?
Oh, and
And I
then
had no idea.
what really launched me today, as you could see, what really launched me today is if you're walking over the bridge, over the Lowell Ave Bridge, there is a giant, like one of those big, like trash can size orange things with a sidewalk closed or road closed, because you can't go over the bridge and make a right. You have, that area is closed. So there's a thing that says road closed, but that's the side of the bridge that you have to walk over because the sidewalk's closed. So if you have, if you're able-bodied, you can get around it. But if you have a wheelchair, a stroller, a dog who doesn't want to walk around it, you can't. So this thing is literally blocking the sidewalk and keeping people from moving down.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense to me. None. I also let them know that Walker Street, and as I said, is a connector from Washington to Watertown. There is a senior housing facility there on the corner of Watertown and Walker that gets multiple vans, emergency vehicles, all types of responses all day long. And that street is now got people parked on either side from the construction. So all those those gas company people, the people who are there to do the project on my street, they're all parked on it. So the road is now this narrow because you can't get up and down it. And I said, if you're going to tell us we can't park on my street, you should at the very least tell us that we can't park on at least one side of the street on Walker so we can make sure emergency vehicles can get up and down. Ralph.
Well, I just want to say in my own experience, a similar thing last year when they were doing the gas line on our street. I had about 2 weeks before they started the gas line, I had a new water line and sewer line put in for which I needed city permits, right? So I had a big excavation across my yard and they carefully avoided my gas line. They filled it back in and 2 weeks later, they're out digging up the gas line. And so because I'm retired, I can go harass the contractor. I said, what is going on here? That you could have told me. I had the hole open, right? The city had to write a permit for me. The city did the water work and it didn't happen. And I guess what I'm echoing what Laura's saying. In my case, because I am retired and I can go I track these guys down on the street and say, what's going on? When's it going to happen? But you don't get real notice on this stuff. And that's part of it on the gas line. It's either on the Feeney Brothers or Eversource, but on the city work, it's on them. And so it's an issue.
Dana, did you have something? I know you had your hand up.
Oh, no, I'm all set. I think Joan wants to talk there. I'm good. Thank you.
I can sympathize. I get to deal with the circle of death on a regular basis. Part of the problem, and I don't know what kind of a solution there is to it, is that every one of the projects that you just mentioned, Laura, is under the control and jurisdiction of a separate agency. Anything going over the pike is MassDOT, and getting them to do anything proactively either takes an act of Congress or information from the Pope, as nearly as I can tell. National Grid sets its own schedule, and I have no idea how they communicate with the city because they own that infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sort of part of what Ralph was running into. The city owns the infrastructure for the water and sewer.
Right.
But National Grid owns the pipe right next door and doesn't have to tell the city it's going to dig you up 2 days after you finish your water project.
Right.
So that's part of it doesn't solve the problem. I don't know how to solve the problem.
But this is good information because here's the thing, Joan, what you and Ralph just talked about. So when I talk to Terry, I'm going to say, look, what do we got to do something within the city that is really what you need is someone who's going to be able to say, we need to do better than a notice shoved in a door with 48 hours of information. That's not communication. If NSTAR is coming in to do something, if the gas company, whatever it is, we need to be able to communicate to people. And it can't just be, like over by City Hall, where it literally was going on for weeks at night, and they were shutting down the street during the day and at night because of the gas leak. People weren't getting communication on a regular basis, and it's at City Hall, for God's sakes. So why are we not getting that? And that's one of those things, like, I'm sorry, I've had complex things going on in my life in terms of my work and having to tell people that they're displaced or there's an issue. Like, I literally had to move students out of a residence hall because there was a problem with the contractor and the building was the Newton Fire Department said, you can't be in here anymore. And I had to move 300 students out of a building with 2 hours notice. I can do hard things. Don't like to do those hard things because it could be preventable, but there is a way to have decent communication around complex issues. And it's not it's not our problem because it's an NSTAR thing or it's a national grid thing. That's not communication. So
No, I absolutely, but to the extent that the city is probably equally annoyed
right.
at the lack of communication, they can't force it.
No, but there could be someone in the city, to my point, which is saying, hey, people who live off the circle of death, let me tell you what's going on. This is what we know.
But they
This
don't
is
know
where
any
to-
more than we do.
Right. But they've got to do, this is their public servants. They need to do more. And if that means we have to go and deploy other people who are part of the infrastructure of our governance, then fine. But I realize I sound like a lunatic right now, but this is ridiculous that you have all these things going on and there's no communication. Period. There's got to be a way. There's something called the cloud. We can put stuff up in the cloud. Then why can't we allow for people to get information in a way that does not require them to go hunting for it? That's my point. And I appreciate, Joan, your sentiment, absolutely, but people need to do better, because if the city wants people to trust what's happening, regardless, they have to start to communicate. Yeah, Jen.
So where were you able to find all this information? Because like when I get certain emails and agendas and things
Right.
that pertain to our area, and I hadn't seen anything on your issue until I forget why I noticed it, but it's like,
Right.
it wasn't in traffic, it wasn't in this committee, it wasn't over there, and I just happened to stumble upon it because I was
Right.
looking for something. Like, is there a database or somewhere we should hook into to get this information and kind of post it ourselves? Or
Well, that's a question, and I'll ask Terry that when I talk to them. But I think that how I found out, frankly, you sent me a text message. You said, I saw this on some road closure or parking. I think it was a parking thing because I wasn't able to park on the street anymore. So there was some kind of thing on parking. So I text Tariq, and he then sends me an email. He and I talk. And then I sent an email to Terry saying, hey, is this related to what's happening on Watertown Street? And how come I haven't gotten anything in my mailbox? So frankly, the only reason I have this information is I got annoyed and I started emailing people. That shouldn't be how people get information.
no. And I'm just thinking about like what's happening on the end of our street, again, with not only the new sidewalks that they're putting in, that for no reason. I mean, there's a good reason, but like, why now? They've been broken for a while. And then with all the pipes that are being laid down and the roads that are closed near me, I don't have any notification. I don't even know where to find that information. And I'm wondering, is Terry the keeper of this information?
I don't know. So that's, I want to know more. And once I know more, I will let you all know. But I think there are good examples in other locations of like basically portals where anyone in a city, anyone in a municipality can go into the portal and see what road closures are happening today, what projects are being done, who's the contact person. There are ways to do this, but we are not doing that. An email once a week from the mayor or an email every month from our city councilors is not enough to get information out. It's just not.
Did it used to be in the 311 app that's now defunct?
That I don't know.
That's just for reporting.
I think that I only used the 311 app for reporting when it was up. Yeah.
But I
was
don't
the
know, I
queen.
don't, maybe
I
there's
was the
another.
queen of the pothole. But I mean, you know, that was the only time I saw it. I never saw anything that was, oh, by the way, your neighborhood's going to get shut down. And
Yeah.
and I will say this isn't just a Newtonville thing. When I lived in Oak Hill, we had lots of road closures over there because when they were building mega mansions over there, they would always be trying to hook up these big houses to the electric, the sewer, everything else, and you'd have to literally shut down streets in order for that to get done. But there would be no notice for anyone living in the neighborhood. You just saw a road closed sign and you were detoured in whatever way.
So if you can, you said you're gonna have a phone call.
Yep.
You can like look into how we might be able to help disseminate that information,
Yes,
or
yeah. That, I
or at
mean,
least
that's
let
a
her know that
perfect
we don't think
use
it's.
of, I mean, I'm going to say this to Terry. I'm like, you've got area councils, not everywhere in the city, but you've got them. This is a good use of these groups. We need to be able to notify people in a way that makes sense. And, you know, it has to happen. Carolyn.
No, I disagree with you on the merits. I just think let's not fall into the trap of having them throw that onto the area council. That's a city function.
Right.
Let somebody in the amply staffed departments of the city assume responsibility for that rather than throw it on us citizen volunteers.
But I
or
think it would be
resident
nice for
volunteers.
them to, at the very least, Carol, I agree with you. I don't want to be going out there doing door knocking. Like, that's not my job. But I think it would be nice for them to say, hey, you have an area council meeting coming up. Can we give you some information on what we have scheduled and what's going on? That would be good. At least we would have the information. You know, and that's what, and we'd be able to have maybe a contact person in case there's a question. So yeah.
All in favor of additional communication to us. Just, I don't want to be ambiguous about we're not taking over their job.
No, I don't have time for that. There you go. So there's cranky Lord of O. You saw it. But I mean, honest to God, like, how many more things are we going to blow up? And we also know that some of the work on Lowell Ave, which I haven't even brought up, Ralph, is that on the corner of Lowell Ave and Page, they did all this wonderful, beautiful, brand new paving. There's, according to Ralph, who has been living in the neighborhood for a bit longer than I have, there has never been a problem with flooding or water built up or anything like that. And now there's been all kinds of issues with drainage because, you know, it's been nothing but rain this season. And every time it rains, we have an issue.
Well, the city claims I think they've actually been out there looking at it, and
Yeah.
they're back in touch with the contractor. I mean, it ought to be in their bond or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got to get, I mean, it's probably in the contract about that and all that
So
sort of thing.
we know Terry's number, and
Yeah. Yeah, we've got it. I think
Okay,
the
well,
other, I mean, you know, the other thing that I get, you know, kind of like, and one of the things I'm going to ask Terry about is, you know, is there more information on who gets awarded these contracts? Because I'm no expert on OSHA compliance, but I've already seen some stuff. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be wearing ear protection? Like, there's some things where I'm like, what's going on here? But I'll talk to Terry about that.
It's probably most likely a house doctor contract where they have 4-year contracts to do work around the city, like a couple of construction firms. And then they just decide who's going to go based on who's doing other work and how much the fee is going to be.
Yep.
So they've in theory vetted them before they come to do work. That's why you see Feeney Brothers around everywhere, and some of the other notable names. There's probably 4 or 5 of them.
Yep.
So I'm assuming they do it the same, but they do it with architects too and engineers. So I'm assuming they do it with that kind of. It's all through the central register and the, you know, city bidding process.
Got it.
Okay, so you're gonna look into that and report back and let us know if you find anything out or there's any repository of information that you can pass along to us and the people who pay attention. Yes,
I
Dana?
I have a comment. It's not about the water main, but so I just want to let you guys know, I don't know if you've been in Newtonville and saw the new plants, they're significantly lower this year. Remember
planters?
the right. So we wrote all these letters and I checked in and they said, yeah, we heard exactly what you said. So there you go. So this year they're a lot lower. We can see over them. And they look great.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Yeah.
That's great. I did
Yeah.
notice that. I didn't know if it was us or they just like
They listed, yeah, when I
Okay.
called in, they said, yeah, we got all your letters. I'm like, a lot of letters? He's like, a lot of letters. Yeah. So, yeah, so
Okay,
that's
they-
great.
they-
So that's
they're much more
good.
appropriate now. I agree.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna take care of that, Laura, then we're all set with that agenda item? Okay.
I'll email back out even if it's before the next meeting because that way people know what I found out.
Okay. The next agenda item is Village Day updates. Obviously, we had a big update with the date change, but Dana, do you want to take, if there's anything that you need to update us about?
The only thing I wanted to update about was, I think what we put down here, how to get the word out, and I could use some help on this. I spoke to Harvey and he said as soon as he got the government webpage, he could get in there and working, he was going to update that. So there's a couple things that I could use some help with, and if I can just kind of go down the list, maybe someone can volunteer.
Sure, what do you have?
Okay, so the schools, I am no longer, I don't even know if it's PTO, PTA, I'm not even sure what it is now, but it would be great if we can send something out to the elementary schools around and the middle schools. We've done it to the high school. Newton North has everything. And I don't know if you need to be a parent to go through that portal.
I mean, I'm a day school parent and so I could do day. I could contact them. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, could you? That would be good. So we just have day, Bigelow
Cabot.
and Cabot, yeah. And Cabot, I've also asked just to put the sandwich board up. I asked the principal there, so hopefully we can put that up. So the good news is we were able to get labels and change the date on all the lawn signs and posters and everything. And Laura had a great idea. She has a collateral link that you sent to me. The only thing is that the committee is asking if we could stay in the brand, and I don't know if that's possible for you to do. So I think like the Instagram link looked a little different. Like the brand is and the brand is that
No, I
yellow with all.
updated it. It's all updated to the brand, Dana.
Oh, it didn't as of like recently, or?
No, I fixed it after you asked me to do it the last time. So
Okay.
I haven't updated any of them.
Okay,
So
so there's an Instagram story that looked a little different. I don't know. Is that, and there was the flyers didn't have the yellow on them, and I don't know when you open them up. I don't know if that's something that can be changed or.
let me double check.
Okay.
But go ahead. Keep talking.
No. So that would be great because we have a Facebook post, we have an Instagram post, we've got the flyers. We've been in touch with the newspapers, and so we're getting the word out. I think really just the schools. If you could get something out to the PTA or however you send them out. I know way back when, the kids used to come home with, papers in their bags, and then I don't know, do you get emails? Is that what you do, or you go on a portal, Jennifer?
We get emails that are pushed out from the PTOs. We don't do papers. Well, I mean, the PTOs usually don't do papers anymore because it's too much paper and then it gets stuck in the bottom of the backpack and it never comes out anyway. So they've started talking to directly the parents and going out through email. So I think they just had their email go out. I can talk to Jackie Mann, who's the principal over at Day, and Amy Winston, I think already has it in hers. But I'll talk to Jackie. If it's not in her her email, or, yeah, sorry,
Okay.
she does like a Sunday email. And I'll just see if it's in there, and if
Okay.
not, I'll ask her, well, I'll ask her to put it if it's not in the last one that was out.
Okay, and then if anyone sees a place that, we still have a few of the lawn signs left. If anyone sees a place that could use them, they're right on my front lawn. You can just kind of come pick them up. We concentrated most of them around the, Newtonville Center. And we added a couple more today. You'll see them tomorrow, Jennifer, a day. We just have to be a little careful because we don't want to, we put in a lot of them out. So we just have to be a little careful where we put them, that they're safe, that people can see around them, but they're small, so they're really not a problem. Yeah. And then, hey, Aileen, we haven't heard from you tonight.
I
Are
know.
you there?
I've got 101 things going on tonight. It's crazy, but anyway, so I can take some signs.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Perfect. And thank you for getting the stickers. Elaine got some nice stickers for us. That's wonderful. And I
And
think
if
we're
I missed
good.
anything in the past 10 minutes, I got an important call. Was I supposed to speak up about anything? Sorry.
I think we're good.
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just take some signs from you. You said they're in the back?
Yeah, no, so they're in the front porch. Actually, I have to drop off a check for you, so I'll drop some off. I owe you a check.
So are we trying to put them on public property or private property?
Well,
Or I have a
we
great
can-
street. Newtonville Ave is.
I know, so
traffic.
that's it. You can, yeah. I'll come by and tell you, like, we can put them on public because they're for the city of Newton, but we just have to be really careful how we do it. Yeah. So when I come by and drop off the check, I'll tell you what we've been doing. I think that would be good.
Sounds great.
Okay. And then if anyone else has any suggestions.
I know that initially you were talking about how you're concerned that people will not know about the change. So
Yeah.
can we
Well,
blast it?
we did a good job. We didn't have anyone show up on the Sunday, the 24th. Me and one of my friends went there at 10 just to make sure. And it was actually really nice at that time of the day. Well, not really nice, but it wasn't raining.
I'm wondering if we felt bad about the change, but
we didn't, because we couldn't have had it. I think I was
yeah, you did tell me, yeah. Oops. Is everyone frozen or just me?
I'm not frozen. I think, Ralph, are you frozen? No,
No.
Dana's just
No,
frozen.
I don't think so.
I think it's just
Ralph's just
Dana.
not moving.
Dana, we don't hear
I'm
you.
not frozen, I'm just not moving.
So maybe we lost Dana.
Oh, boy.
No, maybe she'll
Yeah.
come back. So
Can someone text her and let her know she's frozen?
I'll do that. So it looks like she just needs us to get the word out. Like I said, I'll go through the PTOs. Oh, she just went away. So maybe she's coming back in. I'll do the PTOs, and if anyone, just spread the word for your friends and family.
Do
that
we
kind of thing.
would it be, I was thinking about Fig City and Patch and
They've all been notified of the new date.
have they been announcing it though? Do we know?
I believe so.
How about next door?
I haven't seen it on Nextdoor. So are you a member of that Nextdoor?
Yeah.
Feel free to put it up.
Do that. Well, I'm gonna make a list here for Dana. Next door. How about, do we have a presence in Instagram? I mean,
We don't, but Laura there's something about Instagram. They said they have an Instagram post. We're on Facebook. We're on a listserv. We're gonna start doing the blast like we did last
okay, so it looks
time,
like
where we
we've
have
done a
the
lot.
multiple, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nextdoor is a good idea though, because I haven't seen it on Nextdoor, and among all the coyote sightings and dog nappings and kitten
Me getting
viewings.
Me trying
It
to
might
make
be
it
something fun to
unpolitically
see.
political.
Yeah, and that too. Anyway, so I think that's fine. I think she's probably fine with what we have agreed, and we'll just help her out. That kind of leads us to the next agenda item, which is Newtonville Area Council publicity in general. This has been a problem for a while. I mean, we're down to very few people on this call at this point. I don't know what's going on tonight, but we got to figure out a way to get more people, and more knowledge of what we do and who we are. Does anyone have any ideas? I mean, I think at one point, we had talked about having like going door to door and dropping off flyers. I think Tim was going to do that, but we didn't get that done. I know Martina and I used to go to all the village events, and pass out flyers, or even half flyers. And I think I gave Laura a version of what we had done, but I don't know what else to do. I mean, we have 3,000 people on our mailing list. We do have a very big, robust mailing list. It just, no one likes to come. Any ideas of what
I
to
really
do?
kind of wonder if right now everyone is just laying low, getting ready for the big zoning vote. I mean, I know for me, there's only.
Maybe. I think we do have a lot of zoning meetings, and people just to get burned out. I'm
Yeah.
kind of burned out by talking about zoning myself.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
just wonder if in general, here comes Dana. I just
Yep.
wonder in general if people are just can only focus on so much, and attending meetings is not it right now.
Yeah. So maybe this is we push this to the beginning of the next term, and make that our focus on how to really pump up the committee and the attendance and the knowledge of what we are.
I wonder if it's possible that I like your idea, frankly, Jennifer, to move towards January. And maybe one of the things we may want to do as a group is come together just from a strategy standpoint, and just to have just a meeting. Like, it's not, and I don't know how this works for open meetings laws or anything, but it's like more of a strategy meeting of, okay, how do we want to structure the meetings moving forward to try to drive some interest? If it's always a conversation about same thing every time, you're not going to end up with a lot of people who want to come, especially when there are other options for people to attend meetings to discuss those things. So how do we, and I know later on in this agenda, we're talking about bringing back hybrid meetings and that sort of thing. Well, that's a good time for us to be thinking about, what are the agendas going to be? What does it look like? How long will the meetings be? Kind of, one of the things we want to maybe think about is a commitment to it being no longer than a 90-minute meeting or an hour and 15-minute long meeting. I know that's hard to do, but having specific time limits and that sort of thing. But being able to get out, here are the next couple meetings. These are some of the hopeful themes for the meetings or something like that, but being a bit more intentional about getting meeting information out. But I think this idea that you had, Jennifer, about saying, okay, so come January, when we have new people on the committee, what does it look like moving forward to try to really be a space where we're going to drive this idea of getting more people to attend and or participate. Hey, Martina.
I'm going to step out from under my Fig City News hat for a minute and just suggest one of the things that brings people, for example, to the Highlands is the zoning, especially the village center and Livingston Cove. And those are issues that do bring a lot of citizens. In Woburn, similarly, there were a fair number of people attend because of concerns about Woburn Square, and that that does generate a fair amount of business. And Upper Falls is dealing with Needham Street and the Needham Street corridor. So it's specific issues. And it doesn't drive people underground. It gets them very much engaged. And that's been pretty much consistent when I've been covering meetings.
Yeah, I think I agree. You're right. I mean, zoning brings it in. Thank goodness we don't have any really huge developments that are, I mean, we do have them that they're present, but they're not going on right now. So it's all kind of quiet. And unless we want to bring up zoning every single meeting, and I was talking with Laura about this, and it's just like, I'm sick of talking about zoning. I know it's a year-long effort, but it's so sad. It makes me so depressed when we have the meeting, and it's just like, you know, some of the things that come up. And so we were trying to see if we could have a couple meetings that didn't have zoning and then come back, which I think has definitely reflected in the attendance. We don't have a lot of people when there's not a big zoning or a big development on our agenda. I totally agree with you. And like I said, you know, there hasn't been a ton of stuff that's been devastating our catchment area as much as it has in the past. So it's, you know, it's like we're the meeting that you can skip because it's not as, you know, it's not as dangerous going on there. Not dangerous, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's not like really big things happening. I mean, I know zoning is pretty big, but they're kind of in this weird straw vote place where we're waiting for the next version to come out. And I think the next meeting will be all about what they're going to decide, what they're going to vote on. You know, I don't know. That's all I can say. I mean, there is one thing, and if you guys saw the chat, Emily had talked about it. She wants to host a zoning meeting, I guess. She says in the chat what she calls it, but they want to talk about the VCOD zoning, and she wants to do it in Ward 2 and wants to know if we could sponsor it with her. So she would, you know, the councils would run it and we would, I guess, pay for it and put our name up there. Maybe that would get more people to be interested in us because we're kind of tagging our wagon to the zoning again. Yes, Aline.
I'm sorry, what's the VCOD? Is that the village center? So what, the big zoning question? right?
Overlay district.
Yeah, okay, oh, that's what it is, okay.
Yeah.
So can you clarify a little more, like, do we have time to do this? And I think because I was late, what's the date for the election? I don't think I even know that.
The election is going to be held on November 7th.
Yeah.
With early voting dates, the 28th through the 1st.
That's for zoning?
No, sorry,
Oh.
that's election.
Oh,
Zoning,
I'm
in
sorry.
theory, should happen, will most likely happen before the end of the term for the counselors.
I'm sorry, I missed something. So the election is November
7th.
7th, thank you. And then I'm just coming in here very blind because I'm overwhelmed with what happened today around my place. Zoning is a vote when?
That's city council. Yeah, the city council will vote on that most likely before the end of the year, because if
That's
they
what you
don't, they
said.
have to start the process over again.
No, I
So they're in
understand.
a rush to
Yeah.
get everything settled and voted on before
Okay,
December.
thank you, thank you.
So that's why you're seeing all this activity kind of, you know, getting frantic, because they have to make this vote or they need to start again. Carolyn?
I know that the Woburn Area Council is setting up a meeting similar to the one that Emily said she wanted to set up. So
Yeah.
Crosby and Pam and the Woburn Area Council will be doing a meeting, I don't know whether it's live or what, on the 12th. And Emily is targeting and has reserved with Pam the 19th of October, and she is inviting, according to what I just received in an email, Emily, is inviting the planning department as well. I don't know if Rosalie will show up as well, but that's the plan. So the date would be the 19th, and she's setting it up as far as I know. So I think all she would be asking of us is to put our imprimatur on the meeting. Certainly, it would be
We
nice
would,
if some of us
yes.
attended, and that we do a little PR by e-blasting it.
Yeah, she would also like us to pay for the space.
Does she have a venue in mind reserved?
Yes, Newton North High School.
High school.
I don't think
In
that
the
generally,
cafeteria.
I don't think that's generally very expensive. I don't have a number.
No, she's asking for $200 from us.
I would say that that
So,
is
I just told
well.
her, she asked me today, and I said I needed to bring it to the meeting because I didn't feel comfortable just spending our money. But I think it's a fun.
I'd make a motion to expend $200 to $250 in
I
support of that
second.
meeting.
I second.
I agree.
Okay, so all in favor of giving 200?
200,
Okay, so
250,
that's
whatever.
one thing we can kind of tag our name to. It talks about zoning, hopefully get a lot of people there.
How does this overlap with the other thing that's being planned?
You mean the
Other thing, debate? What's
what's
the other thing?
thing?
I thought Carolyn was saying that someone else was trying to do something like this.
Oh,
as well.
that's Wobbin, that's a different day.
That's on the 12th. On the 19th is the one that Emily wants us to participate with
Okay,
and spend the $200 towards.
October 19th.
Yeah, so the other one's already taken care of.
Okay,
And
so
that's,
should we volunteer, should we put in a little more in case it's not flat 200 and? Or is that?
I mean,
not
all she asked us was for 200.
Okay,
I don't know what else she has planned. She was saying that, it was something that she would in the past have paid out of her campaign account, but
Yeah,
she has
she doesn't
nothing left
have
in her campaign account.
got it, yeah.
So, yeah, she's going out zero. Can't take it with you. So she's asking us to help her out. And I think that's and especially if we can get some, if we can get some publicity out of it ourselves. And perhaps even have a place where we can hand out flyers about our own stuff. I don't know what she's going to have for a table or something, but it'd be nice to kind of have things that we can pass out to get more information about us. Okay.
So just to clarify, October 19th is a Thursday and we should probably be present. So I'm gonna put it in my calendar. I mean,
we don't have to be present. It would be probably good to be present.
yeah, I'm gonna.
Someone probably needs to go from the area council for sponsoring it. It's from 6 to 7:30. So I don't know who can get back from work in time.
Well, that's me
But-
babysitting every Thursday now. That's changed my life. So, no complaining though. So, time again, you said was 6:30?
6 to 7:30.
7:30. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
7:30. Thank you.
Yep.
It's in my book.
Does
Okay.
this mean it's going to be recorded as well or no?
I don't know if probably not.
Sounds
I
like
bet it's
it's
just
not
a
enough
community
money.
meeting.
Doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's enough money.
I think she's just going for a venue and it's going to be in person, like a
Okay.
traditional meeting.
Right.
So. Okay, so I think we should table discussion on increasing our presence until a strategy meeting at the first of the year. But in the meantime, doing everything we can to sponsor, to advertise, to hand out flyers at Village Day, at this event, anything else we can do to get people interested. Dana, you have a question? You're muted. Oh, no,
There we go. Okay.
there.
There you go. Because I got frozen, I didn't finish up on Village Day, and I just wanted to check. So Laura, am I frozen again? No, I'm good. Okay.
No,
so
you're fine.
Laura is going to be our crack journalist, and she said she has volunteered to walk around and talk to the different vendors and get their story and post on social media, which is amazing because there's so many kind of cool stories. And just to let you know, the cake that Icing on the Cake is making, it's a thank you to the Newton North Jazz Ensemble, and Cabot's Ice Cream is donating all their proceeds from their ice cream to the Boys and Girls Club. And there's like so many stories like that. So Laura, I'll get together before and just kind of, tell you a little bit like what's going on. But I think this is so amazing. There's like we have a new puppy store that she's just having her grand opening, and she's going to be there. So who else do we have? We just, West Newton Cinema just wanted to know if they could have a booth at West Newton Cinema. So we've got all different kind of stuff going on. So it'll be fun. And this will be great to document it because we haven't been very good in the past. So thank you. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, let's talk beforehand, Dana. I'm happy
Yep.
to get some briefings on who's going
Yeah.
to be there so I don't look like a lunatic.
Yeah.
But the other thing, and I put it up in the chat, and I don't know if you saw it because you fell
Okay.
out, but I need when you first sent me the little artwork for the
Yep.
for the whole thing, do you have an updated one with October?
Yep.
Can you just
I'll
send
send
that to
that
me?
to you.
Because I can fix all those
Sure.
other pieces of
Oh,
collateral.
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. And then the other thing to discuss too is, and I spoke to Jennifer and Caroline a little bit about this before, do we, depending on really what we have to hand out, what kind of literature and how much interaction you want to have at the booth, we usually have two booths. We have a cake booth that we hand out the cake and t-shirts, and then we have another booth that's manned by NAC members, and that's when in the past they've handed out literature and so forth. But we're thinking this year, because there's such a shortage of booths, that maybe we should just consolidate and just have the one cake booth. But if we do that, there won't really be room for someone to kind of go over the handouts with people walking by and that kind of stuff. So kind of, wanted to see what Jennifer, because Jennifer usually mans it, and maybe Ralph, I don't know if the date works for you, October 8th. I don't know. if
Yeah,
that would work for you.
unfortunately, yeah, I'm going to be out of town that day. I tried to reschedule that, and I just
I think you told me that. Yeah, sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You did tell me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, Jennifer, I think it's you, because Laura is doing something. Aileen is going to be our train conductor. Yay! Right.
I'm sure I can
So,
take a break to hand out cake at some point. So we'll do our best.
yeah.
And I can maybe find maybe I'll let me talk to some of my neighbors. Maybe I can get some help from some
Well, we
neighbors.
have plenty of help right now. So we've had the football team. He's looking to
The
help us
football
out.
team
Boys
should
and
not
Girls
be
Club.
handing out cake.
Oh, we have plenty of people to hand out cake. We've got, everyone loves to do that. So we're good with that. We're good with handing out the cake. It's the literature. So the
Oh,
people that are
okay.
handing
Sorry
out the
about that.
cake aren't from the NAC. So they're just from our committee. So they wouldn't be able to answer questions if people had questions on the literature. So that's more what I'm saying. Handing out the cake is easy. We don't have to answer any hard questions. And everyone's happy. So that's a fun thing. But so that's, and because I know, Laura, you were working on some stuff,
Mhm.
whether you want to just walk around and pass it out, but you'll be busy. So,
Yeah. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
it's not going to be any heavy lifting, this stuff for the survey. So
Okay.
it's not going to be crazy.
Okay. All right. So should we just say that we're just going to have the one booth then and free up the other one? Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. All right. Thank you, guys. That sounds good.
Good, thanks.
Dana, before we completely close, one of the things we talked about is I will put in some kind of an ad in Nextdoor for Village Day. So if you want to send me whatever you have, I can
Yeah.
just cut and paste into Nextdoor. Okay.
Yep, yep, perfect, perfect,
Thank you.
perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Great. Okay, so the next item agenda is volunteer opportunities at Cradles to Crowns. Laura, this is you.
So I had a conversation with the manager, the director of Cradles to Crayons. Her name is Aubrey Henderson. And I was over there just looking, we're going to talk later about do we go hybrid meetings and that sort of thing. So I was looking for some community connections of space, if in case we want to think about space besides the city hall, which we'll talk about that a little more later. And I got to do a tour of the Cradles to Crayons. Now I've been a volunteer at Cradles to Crayons when I was over in Brookline, but this venue opened, or this building opened literally like a month before the pandemic. And I haven't been in it. If you haven't been there, it's absolutely unbelievably impressive. The place was built for the work that they're doing, whereas their old location was like a retrofitted old furniture warehouse. Their community partnerships are extensive. They work closely with other community partners, such as Dignity Matters, which is an organization out of Framingham that does work with women's sanitary napkins and tampons and things of that nature. So it gets those donations to them in case it comes to Cradles to Crayons. They send it out to them and that sort of thing. So they do all kinds of things with other organizations. When I was there, there were 3 companies that were there volunteering. One was Shawmut, which is one of the big construction companies. There was a group of students from, I think it was Emerson College was there, and then another group. I mean, and there were probably over 100 volunteers there, and you couldn't even tell there had 100 people. That's how big the place is. So we were talking, they are actually going to be setting up some dates for Newton residents to volunteer specifically during this high time around Thanksgiving to Christmas season, which tends to be a time where they really need extra hands and that sort of thing. And that was put into place in collaboration with some of the people from that area of Newtonville, because there was some pushback about that location being built and that work there. So they really wanted to be working closely with the town, with the city, and with folks there. So when the dates are firmed up, I will be emailing folks, and maybe we could find a night that Newtonville Area Council wants to go volunteer together, if they're so inclined. But I will say it was extraordinarily impressive what they've had to do to pivot, and since the pandemic, the needs that they have only tripled. They haven't declined. If you are someone who enjoys seeing a very organized group in process, you will absolutely love this, because their ability to get work done is beyond my realm of comprehension. Very impressive.
So thank you for checking that out, and we'll get back to everyone on times that we can. I think it'd be fun to get us all in one place and volunteer. Bring some of the people from our catchment area in and just have a nice group from Newton. Do it. I think that's important. Okay, so we're down to the end, and we just had Mark Hirschman come in. He wanted to know if he could show us some renderings that he's done. Hi, Mark.
Hello, nice to see you.
You just made it in time.
Great, great.
I have a question. You had asked to show some of your renderings
Yes.
of the build out. Is this just of Newtonville?
Some of Newtonville, and if you'd like, we could share, your adjacent neighboring communities as well. I think, our city's all interconnected, but primarily
True.
Newtonville.
We don't have a lot of time. We're at the end of
Right,
our meeting.
Right. So why don't you give me a few minutes and you can do whatever you're doing, and I'll get my stuff together and try to keep it simple. How's that?
Okay. So
Great.
we're down to the end of our agenda. So if you're gonna do
Can I-
something, you gotta do it
Yeah.
quick.
Jennifer, why don't I just kind of bridge off of what I was talking about with Cradles to Crayons? So we
Sure.
are going to be having that conversation about bringing back hybrid meetings, and probably looking towards doing it starting in January when we have a new group. And we do have space that has been, and Jennifer can give more information on this, that the City Hall has provided us with some space. But in an effort to consider maybe going out into specific locations, I want to stay away from schools for some of the same reasons that Carolyn brought up earlier. You can't really count on the schools, and they get requests all the time for evening activities. So I would stay out of the schools, but whether it be the Boys and Girls Club, whether it be Cradles to Crayons. I don't know if there might be some other businesses in the area that might have like the Trio building may have a space that they would be okay with us using. And not saying we need to be in a different location every month, but every so often, maybe highlighting a location in the catchment that gets people out there and frankly gets us out there to see other parts of the catchment area, not just being in a bunker in City Hall. And so that is one of the considerations for this as we move forward. We would want to identify locations that have obviously internet and a good stable internet, because we would have to have it as a hybrid option and be able to run a hybrid meeting there. I wouldn't want to, act like, I had to go back to my, being the vice president of the AV club at John Jay High School in 1984 again. But I want to be able to, allow for people to join in. But I think there is, in my opinion, I think there is some value to us going out, and I think it allows for us to be seen in amongst the community and frankly, see parts of our community that it would be nice to see. So that's the point there. Hey, Dana.
I love that idea, Laura.
Yeah.
And like, we could go to the
Dana?
YMCA, the Boys and Girls, like, wouldn't that be cool? And I think that's such a great idea. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
I think there's some other locations. I don't know if
Yeah.
the Y is I belong to the Y, and I every time I turn around, I'm like, have they used literally every corner of this building to use it? But there's
yeah,
like,
that's true.
there's not a lot of like community space. But I get your point, and I think that there may be some other
Yeah.
locations I'm not even thinking about.
Yeah.
So there might be
Yeah.
even some of the senior centers or some of these other places, like even where we voted for 2-1, we were out in the Scandinavian Senior Center. That's a nice building. I'm just going to tell you, I'm like, I don't know what it takes to get into this place, but when I retire, maybe if I got to be Scandinavian, it ain't happening. But that being said, it's a nice building. It's got nice space, and they may be interested in it, and it might not be a bad kind of traveling road show. And that may also increase people's participation, because if we show up at the Boys and Girls Club or at the Scandinavian house, someone might say, oh, can we, and that can help us with our agenda. So we can talk about things that might be of interest to that community or whatever. So just
I
the
think that's
thought. So I'm
great.
glad people are open to it.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And I think we can supply refreshments.
We can bring refreshment. I'm a fan of a donut hole and some other things. So that's
Laura, I think this is a great idea. I've been wanting to meet in person, and I know that there's limitations, but it's nice to do to look into it. Thank you.
awesome.
And I've been to watershed board meeting at the Boys and Girls Club on their top floor, and it was a nice space. We had good Wi-Fi, and it's in the catchment. So
That's great. Excellent. If there's places I haven't thought about, please let me know. I know Martina's still on the call, and she's a font of information, so I'm sure she'll have some thoughts on good spaces. So.
all right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think it's nice to do this in my pajamas. It's time for us to get out. The other area councils have been doing hybrid meetings, so it's time for us to start as well. Mark, are you ready?
Yes.
Can I just ask one thing? I thought we were required to hold our meetings on city properties.
I don't know. No, well,
I heard
I
that
don't know.
once.
I'll check with the lawyer to figure that out. I don't know.
You do check with the alleged lawyer, but I think that may be the case.
Okay, we can check on that one.
So while you get ready, maybe you can allow me to share, and then I could get ready and bring it up. I'm just trying
You
to.
should be all set, ready to share.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I could find the share button. There it is. A lot of buttons. How are we doing? Are we seeing the screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Terrific. That's a good thing. All right. So what I prepared is over the months prepared material that showed potential build outs in our community. And to keep it simpler for the communities, I broke them out to each community. So I will make available to Newtonville and some of the other communities so they can particularly focus in on their particular community. What I've also done, and what you've asked, which is a really good question, was, how are we focusing on the particular communities? And so what I've done, and is it up to date to the VC2, 3, it's a moving target. It's an enormous effort to try to keep up to it. There's a reason why it's a moving target, so we can't vet it well enough, but that's not going to stop us. And it's really important for us in the community to vet this stuff. And to just give you an idea of how they've sort of changed the discussion so we can't really remember what they're trying to do, I have shown the draft VC1. And here's the VC1. It shows our houses. As you see in VC2 and 3, wow, where's the houses? Where are all the little, as one would say, our homes? It's just areas. So that little, avoidance is making it more difficult for us as a community to feel really the pain of what they're going to inflict on our community. And so we could see how they, as one would say, upzone. And upzone really is not a pleasant term. I don't know who in a positive way sees upzoning. In other words, up is making things more bigger. And the polemic that some say that upzoning increases affordability, the data is it does not. It makes properties more expensive. You take a $1 million property house, and then you put 4 units on it, then you have 4 units that may be $500,000 a piece. That property and the neighbors around it'll say my property is worth $2 million, not $1 million, and so it's hard to buy that $1 million home again. So it's a cruel process, and we have to be on our toes about the notion of upzoning. So here you could see how the maps have changed, how they expanded the areas. And here, rather than just showing the VC3 version, I was able to find the VC3 version that shows the changes from version 2. And what they have done is there are areas where they increased, if you could see my cursor, to even more areas that can be used as higher development. And there are certain areas where people had influence, were able to whisper in the ear of a counselor and downzone a parcel here and there, and that should be an egregious, obvious thing people should uncover. But the most egregious thing that happened was in Nonantham at the 11th hour, with no discussion of community, they upzoned, they increased areas on Watertown Street from VC2 to VC3. So that's the general picture. And we will just take a look at here, Newtonville and some other communities if we have time. If you're interested, they're just little snapshots, but I want to preface what we're looking at. And so I have given to the public, and I haven't released it to public, just to certain individuals at this point, a very nice way to see how here in VC1, we could see what they were doing. We had homes, and they're changing our homes to higher density living. So here's what we can look at Walnut Street. These images have been improved and tweaked to just accommodate any criticism that may be out there. And of course, there still will be that it's not perfect, but life is not perfect. This certainly explains what's going on. So to show the veracity, we're showing a gray image of what we have currently, and that's 28 feet, 2 stories. That's a reasonable polemic of 2 or more than 2 to 1, where it's wider than higher, so it feels like community. So you can have trees, so you could have sunlight. But the proposal is for not just VC2, which is 3.5 stories, but 4.5 stories. And this is what one phase would be, 4.5-story buildings. I've been kind enough not to show the shadows it would cast, because if I didn't show it perfectly, or if they said, oh, that's only one part of the day, but rest assured, this will create enormous shadows in a good part of the day. And this would be on both sides of the street. And again, I've been kind enough not to build out further down the street. But as you would see, if you could imagine, and does not take much imagination to see what this would look further down the street. And just to explain the accuracy of what we've done, which is really hard. These are perspectives. We've done what's called an architectural section that shows the dimensions, and that, yes, this will be this high, but actually we've erred on being a little lower than really how high it could be. It could be up to 71 feet in their polemic, and we've only showed 4 stories, of the half story being set back even further. But they could have a slope roof that is even more dramatic. So that's what we are up against, and the community has to speak up. And as architects, we can explain that 1, 2, and 3 stories is community village feel, New England. Above that is urban. If we want to be Boston, if we want to be New York, yes, we could do this. But along with this comes the traffic, congestion, the noise, and the anonymity of population, a more transient population of rental. Not that I have anything against rental. I grew up my whole life in rental housing in Brooklyn, and we lived there for years and years. But today, rental housing is more transient, unfortunate. And we want a community like Newton is based on people having a commitment to the community, having a stake in the community, and wanting to stay in the community. And some rental is fine, but if that's what you're proposing and the main polemic of what you're building, it could be very problematic. So that's the view of our community. And just as a glimpse, I'll give you an idea that some new slides that we did, if we could just get to it, I'll just show you what they did in Nonantham. At the hearing, Nonantham woke up about what they're doing. they're a tight-knit community. They live, you know, and spend their time, you know, commingling, and so they caught wind of what was going on. And if you look at the tape, you could see that they were really quite outraged. So let me just quickly move to, as you could see, oh, yeah, no, Anthem happened to be the next one, so I didn't have to scroll through a lot. So just briefly, simply again, VC1, yes, they started the planning, they're showing where the upzoning is. VC1, look at these homes, they're going to build more dense there, and that's a problem, and people started speaking up. But then they did the next version where you don't see the houses, and it's just little green areas and blue areas. Isn't that sweet, right? And then here's the kicker. For them to do this in any community at the 11th hour without any discussion with community, no review, red, and red is like blood, right? I mean, they're taking the blood out of a community. They have upzoned their 1- and 2-story areas bad enough on Watertown Street, similar to what they're doing on Walnut Street, bad enough that they're proposing that. At the 11th hour, without any discussion of community, they turned this whole area to VC3, 4.5-story, in essence, 5-story buildings. Not just Nonanthem should be outraged, our whole city should be outraged. Process, just based on process alone, it's bad enough that they're going to destroy the fabric of the city. So that's probably one of the reasons why you saw so many people coming out from Nonanthem. And a lot of them don't even know that they did this. It was bad enough that they were going to change their 1- and 2-story buildings to 3.5-story, and they would demolish their community businesses. And that's what they would do, obviously, on Walnut Street. So here's some new views of what Watertown Street would be transformed as. This is existing. Here we saw existing, proposed, existing, proposed. And they say, oh, this won't happen all at once. A developer who has the money and the ability to buy up the parcels, they can do it.
Mark, can I ask you real quick, where is the red zone in these pictures?
I'm saving it for the end.
Oh.
That's the so we are actually going down the street of Watertown this way. Okay, so we're heading to the red zone. Okay, and it's not a football touchdown, though for the developers it certainly is a football touchdown and more, unfortunately. And why we are doing this, we're not doing it, the community is not doing it. Some counselors are doing this along with the development, with developers. That's the pity. And we have to speak out, not just for Nonanthem, because they could do and have tried to do this elsewhere. They figured Nonanthem is soft, a soft area where, oh, you know, for whatever reason, whatever part of the city they choose to do this, it's egregious. The whole city has to speak up and say, no, process and result is unacceptable. So
Mark, we need to start wrapping up.
Yes, so I'll go through it and I will wrap up. So here we're going further down 334 Watertown Street. You could see some of the stores you may find familiar. Moldova, and you know, it's a very cute 1-story, 2-story area. This is what villages throughout America and Europe. That's village, that's community, that's people shopping on the street and having light, air, and small shops and community businesses where people can interact. This is something quite different. So we're getting closer to further down the street where you still have some houses even on Watertown Street. And then we would be building out on one side. And then on the other side, this is just the VC2, which is bad enough 3.5 story. And I could have showed it go all the way down the street, but I chose not to. Similarly, further down the street. And here we're coming to the area that we're getting to where they upzone. After 418, the view from here you have, this is on the left side at the view of 418. You have 2.5 story. It's residential or commercial and residential. That's the scale of New England. Why not keep it? But they upzoned it so you could do this. And so here we are at 421. It's lower scale, 1, 2, perhaps 2.5 stories. And they changed it 4.5 stories on the right side.
Oh, come on.
And that's what they could transform Nonantum to. And the community of Nonantum have not seen these pictures yet. They were outraged just to respond to the 3.5 story. It all is too high. 1, 2, and 3 stories is village. Anything above that is big city and all the complexities that go with it. Not that we have anything wrong with cities, but city should be city, and a New England community should hold what's cherished for us, and that's why we're here. And so here to show the real dimensions, very difficult in perspective to show the veracity of these images, is showing the heights that they're proposing. On the right side, they're upzoning for the VC3 up to 71 feet high. I mean, these are heights that were bigger than legislated when Haussmann was redeveloping Paris. I mean, this is truly shocking. And people don't know. You could talk about the numbers. That's why we've done the images, so people could understand the type of transformation that could happen by them moving around pieces of parcels with numbers that they feel they're just moving around little pieces on a board game. But this is real life, and this is what our communities can be transformed to. And it's not just in the village centers, the packing in the MRT in our communities to pack small Somerville scale homes within homes, between homes, is part of this whole endeavor. And I'm not going to go into those images at this point, but that's a serious concern as well. Thank you very much.
So I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Please.
Number one, from a devil's advocate, what can people say? What can the other side say? We need to be prepared for the other side.
Terrific.
And I'm just saying that in theory, we can't get into all of this, but this is what my big concerns are, is that you listen to what people are saying from the other end, and it's just throttling the information down our throats. Whereas now you have these pictures, and what's going to be the fight on this? Oh, Mark, you live in such and such, so therefore that's why it's not in my backyard stuff. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I am so against this stuff, but what was wrong with the other pictures that they're not going to jump on these and say that these are wrong too?
They were wrong the first time around. And I was kind enough to not push back because I know these people. They were so rude in that they didn't inform me they were going to critique my work. They were so rude not to say, Mark, maybe you should tweak it. You have a zone that's a little bit wrong from where your view is.
So what are they going to say about this set? Playing devil's advocate.
Okay, they were more carefully reviewed, and they'll always find something that's off. Oh, the view from here maybe not long enough or big enough, or the building is going down too far. But this captures the essence of what's proposed. So,
So where
so
is
with
this
regard to
being
your
presented?
question,
Where is this being presented?
are these being presented?
Yeah.
These are for you to share with your community.
Like we did last time. Okay.
Okay, so in answer simply is what are they talking about? They're talking about we care about housing. We're creating more affordable housing. The reality is we know from example, you just say the example. Look at the examples of that which was built. They are apartments that are charging $4,000 to $5,000 a month, and you can help these people. These people that are going to these rentals, I don't know who they are, but maybe they're ill-informed. They could be explained, even with the mortgage rates currently, that we could show them a simple small house where they have a backyard and could create a space where they could not just eat and sleep, but also work and exercise and walk out and have some fresh air and see a tree, okay, for the equivalent of $4,000 or $5,000 a month and get a small $800,000 home. So that's the argument we have to explain.
Do we
Huh?
have facts?
The
about
facts,
the
it's
rent-
economic.
No, wait a minute. Do we have the, I'm with you, Mark. I'm with you. I want
Yes.
us to be clear. Do we have the facts about what are the ranges of income versus what they're paying at Trio in Austin? So
Oh,
if
yes.
someone's making $50,000, this has been my argument for 2 years now. If
Yes,
someone is making $50,000, they cannot afford to live in Trio or Austin Street.
right. So,
They have to pay $2,000 to live in a cubicle.
right, that's, yeah, there are a lot of threads, but the big picture is what they're building, is not affordable. It's
Mhm.
creating small units that are not humanly uplifting. And there are other ways you could say that. They're not in the nature of man. These types of buildings is what they built in the Soviet Union. They just dressed in a little different garb. It is the same plan. I'm an architect. They're called double-loaded corridor buildings. And that's why we have all these Russians that have moved here, and you think they're going to live in apartments? They've come here for the freedom to have a little place of their own. And so there are a lot of threads, a lot of explanations why this typology is not desirable. And historically in America, they were called tenements off Main Street. And it was the most undesirable type of dwellings because it's noisy, because you have the restaurants and the smells of and pollution, street pollution. You still will have noise pollution. Street level dwellings is not the ideal that you want to present to humanity going forward. We're a caring community. So why build a typology that is so uncaring? If we want, here's another argument which has not been discussed.
I'm
If
sorry,
we-
Mark, we need
yeah.
to wrap up.
Yes, sure.
We are running
If there are other
late.
questions, I'll keep it short. I was asked and so I'm sharing.
No,
it.
I know. We need to wrap it up, but I mean, mainly I want to know, I assume you'll give us these slides or when you
Oh.
had the presentation and we can
Yes,
distribute them or post them.
yes.
I
be
think it would be
glad to-
handy to have a slide that actually shows us what people have to pay to live in these cubicles and what their salaries are. To, like a correlation between salary categories and what they can afford. And how many bedrooms, because that's the problem. A family can't live in a one-bedroom apartment for
Right, right.
$2,000.
Yeah, what's so cruel is these are small apartments. And the option, we're destroying, with the MRT, they're suggesting to cut up nice small homes. That's what's vulnerable. And you could get a nice small home, 1,600 square feet, it's still not cheap, but it's equivalent to the price of a 600-700 square foot apartment without green
But see, the thing is, Mark, I'm telling you that we're all with you. So
Yes.
we need to have the slides that are gonna tell us more than what these pictures, the other stuff. And I know Jennifer wants me to shut up.
Yes, yes. Well, that's economic data stuff, which is great. I encourage, I'll be welcome people to work together and help them put together those informational, more economic slides. But like you know, it is public knowledge. As we said, Trio, you're paying the equivalent of a small house for something that's 1/4 of a house, and you don't get green, you don't get tree, you don't get the air, you don't have the area to, in this day and age, to be able to work at home, because what can you do in 600, 700 square feet? You just have room for a bed, to eat, kitchen, a bath.
And you don't have any equity.
Exactly, right. And these are very simple, these are not hard things to explain. And we should be able to put that on a data sheet to explain those things, and it's very well taken to bring up that angle to this, which is so important.
Well, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to do these and show us.
You're so
I
welcome.
appreciate it. Does anyone else have any other questions, or are we all set? If you could, Mark, if you could connect with us after this and see if we could figure out a way to promote this, that would be good. I'm sorry we don't have more time for you.
That's fine. I'm always available to share, and I will get this material to you, and it's a pleasure to see you all again, and nice to spend the evening with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
You're very welcome.
You want to unshare your screen?
Yes, I have
Let me
to
get back.
the magic button. There we go.
There we go. Okay, great. So the last thing on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes. Did we see meeting minutes? Did I see meeting minutes? I don't think I saw meeting minutes.
They literally came in while the meeting was happening, so we'll have to send those out. They came in from Harvey.
Okay, so then we'll just do it the next meeting. Okay, so we want to talk about quickly the next meeting we're gonna have. There is, Harvey is having scheduling issues, and Laura has a class, which is what was affecting her attendance today. And so we were wondering for the next meeting, instead of having it on the fourth Thursday in October, because we had decided right now not to have one in November, is that correct? I think if we had a discussion last week or last time about that.
Yep.
Maybe we have one in the middle. We were given the fourth Thursday because Wobbin took the second Thursday. But it's not really affecting them or us. They don't come to our meetings. We really don't go to their meetings. So I wouldn't have a problem taking another, the second Thursday in November after the election, and kind of having a meeting to bridge both the October and November. Does anyone have an issue with that? Or I don't like to move it around, but we were gonna have that weird November, October anyway. Does anyone have any problems with that?
I think
We
it's
did
good.
that. So the open dates are, there's also, we could do it on a Wednesday. I would stay away from Mondays and Tuesdays because those are the full council meetings and the ZAP meetings, which we don't want to interfere with, and like the really big meetings happening on Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesday is kind of like the filler meetings, and then Thursday they have nothing. So does anyone have any issues
Stay to
with
Thursday. Stick to a Thursday, and I think your suggestion is great.
Okay, so to meet on Thursday, we'd have to push it back to like a 7:45. Is that right, Laura?
Oh, Laura can't do it Thursday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just
No,
for this
hard-
semester. It's just this semester. So
Yeah,
Wednesday's better for me,
okay,
if that's
yeah.
possible.
I didn't realize that was okay. Yeah, Wednesday.
And like I said, Harvey has issues as well.
Yeah, he has a
So-
Thursday night issue right now too, just for the next couple meetings, so.
So hopefully by
Wednesday.
January, we can go back to a normal schedule. And like I said, I hate to move it around, but to accommodate the two of our members. I mean, technically I have something to do on Thursdays, but my daughter can figure out how to get to RSM and back.
So Jennifer, just from a planning point of view, the historic,
Yeah.
local historic district, we meet on the first Thursday, but you hadn't talked to
Okay.
me. That-
Okay.
It wouldn't be good to have that at this, that be.
Okay, that's fine. We don't have to have it on the first. Does anyone, if you guys can talk about what you guys have on the 8th of November, the 9th of November, which is a Thursday, or the 15th of November or 16th of November, if any of those dates are open. The 9th and the 16th would have to be after 7:45. But people are open on the 2 Wednesdays before, so does anyone have any issues with moving it to that date?
I think both the 8th and the, what is it, the 15th? For me, I don't
Yeah,
care. I can say they're
those are both
fine.
okay.
You
How
guys?
about anyone else? Is
Good for
Laura saying
me.
yes.
that okay?
Carolyn saying
Okay.
yes. Dana saying yes.
So it's okay. So we'll check with Harvey to make sure with him that either the 8th or the 15th works better, and then get back to you guys and schedule the next meeting, okay?
All those, I make a motion? Or I don't, we don't need a motion.
You can make a motion to adjourn. if
No,
That's what you wanna do.
can I say something really quick? I know this is gonna
Sure.
kick people off, but do people know why nothing is happening at the barn and why nothing is happening at the other sites? The man, and I don't even know the company who's supposed to be doing all this work has run out of money. So nothing is happening. So this developer that has bought up all this land around Newton is out of money and he cannot do any more work. So we have to watch things get torn down and nothing happens.
You mean
Yes.
Mark Development and the
Yes.
rubble field where Dunstan
So
East
he
was-
has run out of money. His money comes from another country. And that money is gone. And now he can't do anything more. So he's trying to sell. So I'm just saying, this is the BS. We just want to sell everything, but we don't even care how it happens.
Well,
We
what-
don't care how to follow up on this stuff.
What one city councilor who's generally knowledgeable told me was that in mid-April, they expected a press release about a sale of the rubble field. It didn't materialize. Says to me that the deal died because it's late now. So I think we have a rubble field in our future for the foreseeable future.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
I'm
look
gonna
at
say it's
what
not
happens around
economically-
the sea, Yeah.
And the same company is behind Riverside,
Mhm.
and that's in stays, stuck dead. And then I don't know what they're doing in West Newton Square, but they have destroyed the economic viability of a lot of businesses there because those businesses are not able to renew leases or make plans because they anticipate those buildings will be torn down if he proceeds according to plan with the Santander Bank project, which I don't know whether that one's still going or not. Whether his money was foreign or not, I don't know, but I do know that construction costs are way up beyond what he had projected, and that financing costs are way up. So until the economy changes materially, I think what you see is what we got.
And this gonna continue to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully the city council will stop approving things.
Well,
Let
the-
him
yeah,
have special permits.
but
He's going back for another special permit.
Yeah, the converse problem is that you have people like Boylston Properties, who according to the newspaper, has a $300 million credit access to capital, embedded capital. And those are the ones, and Toll Brothers and others, that we're going to start developing. Someday we will oddly wish for the days of when we could negotiate with Robert Korff, even though he couldn't follow through. But that's where we're stuck.
Yeah,
Right. Can I make a motion to adjourn?
yeah, ending on a happy note. I second the adjournment. All those in favor?
Happy
Okay.
night.
Thank you for
Okay.
putting up with my cramped brain when I came on.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Okay, well,
Thanks. Bye-bye now.
have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye, Mark.
everyone.
Thank you.